Story 1. What is challenging for non-celebrities and people with lower incomes is the cost of therapy. I don't currently have insurance, and while I know I should see a therapist about things, I can't afford it. I'm sure other people are in that situation. For me, it isn't so bad these days because I ended up meeting an amazing person and getting engaged, but I've had many extremely low points in my life where I could have used professional help. Story 2. As someone who's struggled with suicidal thoughts and still does on occasion, I'd like to advise against a trend I've noticed on Reddit, which is instantly linking to suicide prevention organizations. I personally understand that it's meant with good intent, but for someone who is suicidal and not quite in their right mind, it often has the opposite effect. It can feel like you're being shoved into a corner or seen as someone else's problem. More often than not, someone suicidal wants to talk to a normal person, someone who will care or listen to them. Of course, I am not telling strangers that they have to be that person. I know it shouldn't be anyone else's responsibility. All I am trying to say is that if you really want to help someone or make them feel better, linking them to something else is not a great way to go about it. It's much better worked into a conversation as a suggestion on the side. Again, I don't want to come off as harsh here. I think it's great that so many people care enough to want to encourage others to seek help, but try to keep this in mind. That feeling of being pushed away or getting a predictable and generic answer often makes you feel more isolated and more depressed. Story 3. I attempted suicide at 19. I think the hardest thing for non-suicidal people to understand is that a lot of suicidal people don't want to kill themselves. They just want to stop existing. Actually, going through the steps of writing a note and taking the pills was extremely difficult, and all I kept thinking the whole time was that it would be so much easier if I could just fall asleep and never wake up. It was scary to think that I was potentially killing myself, whereas a death I couldn't control or had less control over would just happen. Then there's everyone and everything else to consider. I also have caught myself wishing many times that the whole world would end so that I could stop existing, but then neither myself nor my loved ones would have to deal with the pain or miss out on a good life. I found those things really hard to articulate at 19. This is how a lot of depressed people feel. Story 4. A person from my past reaching out to me, even for 5 minutes, does exceptionally more for my mental well-being than seeing 10,000 Reddit users spam the numbers for different suicide prevention hotlines. Please reach out to the people in your life. You can keep it as light as you want. We're social creatures, and even limited interaction goes a very long way. Story 5. I did not write this but have permission to share. Just saw this elsewhere on the internet in reference to recent events. For obvious reasons, at least for anyone who has had to listen to me complain about how much I hate winter, it really resonated with me. When you have depression, it's like it snows every day. Some days it's only a couple of inches. It's a pain, but you still make it to work, the grocery store. Sure, maybe you skip the gym or your friend's birthday party, but it is still snowing and who knows how bad it might get tonight. Probably better to just head home. Your friend notices but probably just thinks you are flaky now or kind of unthoughtful. Some days it snows a foot. You spend an hour shoveling out your driveway and are late to work. Your back and hands hurt from shoveling. You leave early because it's really coming down out there. Your boss notices. Some days it snows 4 feet. You shovel all morning but your street never gets plowed. You are not making it to work or anywhere else for that matter. You are so sore and tired you just get back in bed. By the time you wake up, all your shoveling has filled back in with snow. Looks like your phone rang. People are wondering where you are. You don't feel like calling them back. Too tired from all the shoveling. Plus, they don't get this much snow at their house, so they don't understand why you're still stuck at home. They just think you're lazy or weak, although they rarely come out and say it. Some weeks, it's a full-blown blizzard. When you open your door, it's to a wall of snow. The power flickers, then goes out. It's too cold to sit in the living room anymore, so you get back into bed with all your clothes on. The stove and microwave won't work, so you eat a cold Pop-Tart and call that dinner. You haven't taken a shower in 3 days, but how could you at this point? You're too cold to do anything except sleep. Sometimes people get snowed in for the winter. The cold seeps in. No communication in or out. The food runs out. What can you even do? Tunnel out of a 40-foot snowbank with your hands. How far away is help? Can you even get there in a blizzard? If you do, Can they even help you at this point? Maybe it's death to stay here, but it's death to go out there too. The thing is, when it snows all the time, you get worn all the way down. You get tired of being cold. You get tired of hurting all the time from shoveling, but if you don't shovel on the light days, it builds up to something unmanageable on the heavy days. You resent the hell out of the snow, but it doesn't care. It's just a blind chemistry, an act of nature. It carries on regardless, unconcerned and unaware if it buries you or the whole world. Also, the snow builds up in other areas, places you can't shovel, sometimes places you can't even see. Maybe it's on the roof. Maybe it's on the mountain behind the house. Sometimes, there's an avalanche that blows the house right off its foundation and takes you with it. A veritable act of God. Nothing can be done. The neighbors say it's a shame, and they can't understand it. He was doing so well with his shoveling. I don't know how it went down for Anthony Bourdain or Kate Spade. It seems like they got hit by the avalanche, but it could have been the long, slow winter. Maybe they were keeping up with their shoveling. Maybe they weren't. Sometimes, shoveling isn't enough anyway. It's hard to tell from the outside, but it's important to understand what it's like from the inside. I firmly believe that understanding and compassion have to be the base of effective action. It's important to understand what depression is, how it feels, what it's like to live with it, so you can help people both on an individual basis and a policy basis. I'm not putting heavy stuff out here to make your Friday morning unpleasant. I know it feels uncomfortable to read it, and realistically it can be unpleasant to be around it. That's why people pull away. I don't have a message for people with depression like, keep shoveling. It's unrealistic. Of course, you're going to keep shoveling the best you can until you physically can't, because who wants to freeze to death inside their own house? We know what the stakes are. My message is to everyone else. Grab a shovel and help your neighbor. Attach a small snowplow to the front of your truck and plow your neighborhood. Petition the city council to buy more salt trucks, so to speak. Depression is blind chemistry and physics like snow, and like the weather, it is a mindless process, powerful and unpredictable with great potential for harm. But like climate change, that doesn't mean we are helpless. If we want to stop losing so many people to this disease, it will require action at every level. Edit. Feel free to share this with anyone or anywhere you think it might help. We aren't alone. Even when there are warm bodies around, when we are cold, we still shiver. Offer a blanket. Edit 2. I just want to say thank you and you're welcome to everyone who is commenting and can relate. You're not alone. Not just me, but many of us truly understand how you feel. But I won't tell you what to do. We who suffer have been told time and again what to do. But if someone offers you a blanket, sometimes the warmth can help. Edit 3. I'm trying to comment on everyone that is posting and thanking me for sharing. I think it's important that everyone is acknowledged that took the time to share their thoughts. Everyone matters. Thank you to whomever or whoever gave me my first gold. And all the gold after. It was absolutely not necessary but very much appreciated. Please share. Thank you. Story 6. I bought a dog. I have a very busy life, so people ask me if I regret having her. Since dogs are all high maintenance, I need to walk her a few times a day, feed her, keep her entertained, clean up after her, and remove dog hair from everything, including myself, with an unending supply of lint rollers. I don't regret it. I got her for one purpose that I won't tell them. Because I'm lonely. Because when I'm at my loneliest, I don't have anyone to turn to, no one to go see, to talk to, despite my best efforts. I have her because I know if I died, something would miss me, so I can't leave her. I left her at the dog boarding for an extra day after getting back from a work trip earlier this week. I found myself calling for her, and she wouldn't come. For the first time in years, I just cried. I missed her. I wanted to sit on the couch and just pet her like she always loves. Fortunately, I could just grab her the next day. But it reminded me how important she is to my mental health. I recently turned down a job that would have required me to move to a place where I would have even less familial and friend support. I would have been traveling most of the year, so I would have to give up my dog. I'm glad I did. I had one friend tell me to absolutely not take the job. He said if I took it, he gave me 6 months before I jumped off a bridge. I can't say he would be wrong. I used work to redirect my loneliness over the past several years, which ended up making it worse as it alienated me from those that I was close to. And then the company abandoned me, hired someone above me that openly tells people inside and outside of the company that he's trying to fire me. I have the chief executive officer and president behind me, so he can't touch me. They know what I did for the company, my sacrifice, my skill, my dedication, and loyalty. I now have much less responsibility, so I can relax. Now, I'm here with my dog, trying to decompress from my job, make more friends, actually date girls for the first time in many years of unsuccessfully trying. Things are starting to look better. Here's to better days. Story 7. I'm the mother of a toddler who died of cancer. There is nothing anyone could do to prevent me from ending my life besides listening and being present. I didn't reach out to anyone. Being suicidal means you want to die. No one could have talked me out of it. My family knew I was struggling, and they took shifts watching me. They bought me my favorite foods and watched RuPaul's Drag Race with me for weeks. For some reason, it was the only thing I could watch. They listened to me cry and didn't try to give me solutions. They just said, I know. We had a code word, potato. If I said potato, it meant that I needed someone to be physically present with me quickly. There was always a plan for the next day. Tomorrow we're going to have lunch at that Mexican place. Okay? Tomorrow let's look for a special garden marker for Miles. I think that was a big part of it. Having a plan for the next day meant I had to keep going. It's been almost 4 months since my 3-year-old died, and I'm still living. That's pretty amazing. Story 8. My brother committed suicide when I was 8. He was 15. My dad has been abusive, but my brother suffered the most from him. He was my hero. I looked up to him and wanted to be like him. He would take the fall for me when I did something that would cause my dad to punish me. I remember that morning vividly. I got back from school the previous day and went to hang out with him in his room, but his door was locked. I kept coming back, but he wouldn't answer the door. My parents weren't worried because my brother usually kept to himself like that. When it was time for bed, I told my dad to see if he could get the door open, and he told me not to bother my brother again. After my brother didn't come down for breakfast, my father broke his door, and we found him hanging from the ceiling. I wish I didn't see that. I screamed the entire time and wouldn't let go of his hand. It felt cold, and my mother had to peel me away. He left a suicide note and a handwritten will. He left me his favorite book. I miss you, Jeff. Thank you so much, everyone, for the love. My dad kept repeating, "Why, Jeffrey? Why?" and tried to get him down from the fan. I was screaming, "Please, Jeff," and pulling his hand, and when my mom couldn't separate our hands, she pulled me away. She was crying so hard. I remember kicking my legs in the air and screaming, "You should have opened his door for me." The book is Animal Farm by George Orwell. I always carry it with me now. Whenever he'd read it to me, I'd make fun of how the big words sounded funny, and we'd laugh. There wasn't much in his will. He left me the book and his Game Boy. He left my mom his wristwatch. My dad didn't get anything in the will. I woke up to a ton of supportive messages and so much love. Thank you for all your kind words. I've never spoken about the details before, and I pray this helps someone who is struggling. To all the Jeffs, I know it's hard, but please be strong. You don't want to have your family calling your name and you not answering. It's the most painful thing ever. For years, I had nightmares of trying to save him, but each time I'd get there too late. In his note, he said he was really sorry and didn't mean to hurt any of us, but he just couldn't bear the pain anymore. He said he hoped it would make my dad stop being disappointed in him and called me his best bud in the world. He told my mom he loved her and hoped she'd find the courage he didn't have. Thanks to all the gold. Story 9. I wish this was up last week. A very close friend of mine committed suicide on the 2nd. She was only 19 and could light up a room when she came in. The worst thing is feeling like I could have stopped her. After work the day before, she asked me if I wanted to go out. I didn't because I was tired and had to clean. My heart hurts. Her memorial was yesterday. Still such a raw wound. I'm sorry I had to get this off my chest. Edit. Thank you to all who've messaged me or replied with support. and their own experiences. I know logically it wasn't my fault, but emotionally it hurts. I'm slowly starting to accept what happened, but it will be a while before I'll be back to normal. Also, to the person that messaged me and told me it was my fault, I reject that notion.